Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Kulturecast. I am editor-in-chief of Culture Shock, Chris Stachiw.
And I'm John Leon.
And I'm Mike White.
Yes, we have a guest co-host, Mike White from the projection booth. How are you doing today, Mike?
Very good, thank you.
You've been having a good Sunday?
Yeah, not bad at all. You know, celebrating the nation's newfound freedoms. So I've just been going out and having gay sex left and right.
Technically, that's not a new thing. You'd have to get married to gay people. That's the new thing.
Shit, I've been doing it wrong.
You know what actually cracks me up is earlier today I was looking and there were a bunch of people in South Carolina and Alabama on the steps of the state capitol with Confederate flags, just like running around. And I was telling John earlier that him and I should have gone down there in like a Confederate outfit and like hot pants with like rainbow Confederate flags dancing around and singing, oh, I wish I was in the land of cotton. See how mad all those people got. God, those fucking
super mad.
Yeah, well, they're already mad. They're gonna move to Canada, right, Mike? They're moving to Canada.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw actually, Mike. I had a question for you. You said you watched Jurassic World.
Yes.
Yeah. Since we are in the middle of, I guess this is the last podcast of Monster Movie Month. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was all right. I thought it was it was definitely better than the second one. Might have been better than the first one. I think a lot of people remember the first one more fondly than they really have a right to. Not as good as the third one for me, but I thought it was all right.
Hang on, wait.
What?
You like the third one the best?
I do like the third one the best.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should have had you on our Jurassic Park Culture Cast. That would have been. I'm legitimately surprised. I think Ryan said that as well, right, John?
Ryan said he liked the third one better than the second one, but he liked the first one best.
Yeah.
Ryan said his was number 1, Jurassic World, number 3, Lost World.
So, Mike, I'm kind of curious, why the third one so much?
I guess I just liked that they didn't pander so much. Like, they brought back Alan Grant, which I liked. And I liked the relationship between Tia Leone and William H. Macy, and that they actually had kind of like stakes in the game and everything, because the kids in the first movie, they didn't, every movie there has to be a child or children in peril. And it really felt like the children or child in peril in the third one had more weight to it than like Hammond's niece and nephews, or Goldblum's adopted kid, or the niece or the two nephews in the Jurassic World. So, and frankly, I'm kind of tired of kids being in peril in these movies. I was kind of hoping that this Jurassic World would be a little bit more adult.
I'm frankly sick of children in movies to begin with. How's that? That's like a moratorium on children and movies altogether.
But it didn't bug you. It didn't bug you in 3 that like 3 dudes die at the beginning and then nobody else dies the whole movie?
I guess after the bloodbath that was 2, I was a lot more forgiving. Yeah.
I sort of went the opposite way, and I liked 2 the best because so many people die in horrible, terrible ways.
Yeah,
it's a monster movie, you know?
It is. I couldn't get behind 2, and especially, I don't know, since I loved the book of the first one and how the book of the second one was kind of more of a sequel to the movie than to, the book itself. I don't know. The second one just felt like it was really pandering to me. And just Julianne Moore seemed like the dumbest character on the face of the earth.
Oh, man. I don't even like Julianne Moore. That's a different story. Let's not even go there. I haven't... I'm actually just now sitting down to listen, or I guess read, audiobook-wise, to the second Jurassic Park book. So I haven't listened to it yet. But I know that Malcolm doesn't die, even though he dies at the end of the first book.
Yeah. It was pretty good that way.
Really special. Because he was... I'm assuming because he was so popular in the movie. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael Crichton, what are you doing? Well, transitioning from Jurassic Park, which we've, I think, talked at length about. If you want to check that out, it's on the site. It's 4.5 hours of talking about Jurassic Park. Let's talk about the last 2 movies of our Monster Movie Month to close out the month, The Relic and The Mummy. Let's start with The Mummy. Came out in 1999. It is a remake, sort of, I guess in name only, of the Universal horror The Mummy movie. Features Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, Arnold Vosloo. It's directed by Stephen Sommers. Stephen Sommers also is credited for writing, along with like 7 other people. And it features Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and they go to an ancient city looking for treasure, and they accidentally wake up Arnold Vosloo, who's the mummy. And then violence and shenanigans come off of that. So, Mike, what did you think of The Mummy?
I love The Mummy. I really like this film, saw it when it was in the theater, and just enjoyed the chemistry. I really like Brendan Fraser as a leading man, which, for whatever reasons, I mean, he's been really great in a lot of movies and in a lot of terrible movies, and I think he kind of gets the blame sometimes. I mean, I will not watch Encino Man ever again, thank you very much, but I will watch The Mummy any day of the week. As far as this being part of a franchise, I like the first one the best. I really thought that chemistry was there between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. I liked John Hannah in there, and I really liked Oded Fehr as kind of the third leg of the tripod when it came to these 3 really ass-kicking guys. And Arnold Vosloo, who I've really enjoyed ever since Hard Target, I was very happy to see him show up in this and actually have some stuff to do rather than, some of these shitty Darkman sequels that he's been in.
Or when he was in G.I. Joe 2.
Oh,
G.I. Joe 1 and 2.
Yeah. He pretty much stole that role. Yeah, he stole that role from Vin Diesel. Nobody should have been Destro other than Vin Diesel.
No, it was Vosloo.
Oh, that's right.
Vosloo was Zartan.
Zartan, that's
the best character in those movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Christopher Eccleston was Destro. Oh god.
That's right. That made no sense.
Oh my god, poor Christopher Eccleston going from Doctor Who to G.I. Joe.
And freaking Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cobra Commander? What?
Only in the first movie though.
That was crazy.
And then Channing Tatum dies at the beginning of the second movie because The Rock.
Yes.
Yeah. Which again, that.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Those movies are both directed by Stephen Sommers. So, if you want to talk about Arnold Vosloo kind of not having much to do, Stephen Sommers hasn't done a whole lot since The Mummy either, really.
Stephen Sommers, he has disappointed me in years hence, but
I do have
get into that or not.
I do have a soft spot in my heart for Van Helsing.
Oh, that's the one. That's
like Van Helsing. I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
That was like a video game come to life.
I'm totally fine with that.
Oh.
Van Helsing is it's okay. I'm not gonna be able to convince you guys that. Well, fuck you.
I mean,
guys.
it's all right from a dumb vampire hunter.
It's pretty much just The Mummy, but with bigger stakes, I guess.
No, the characters aren't as fun.
Well, yeah, The Mummy is somewhat lightning in a bottle. Stephen Sommers was never really able to replicate his success with The Mummy.
That's true.
John, what did you think of The Mummy?
I like The Mummy for all the same reasons that Mike does. It's been forever since I watched the rest of them, so I can't say which one from the franchise I like the best because I hardly remembered any of them until I rewatched The Mummy. But I think I also really like The Mummy because of the motivations for the Mummy himself.
He's not really a bad guy.
Right. I mean, in most movies, the Mummy is only doing evil shit to reunite with his murdered love.
Right.
And in most movies, that would make him the good guy. And it's literally just because in order to do that, he has to, bring darkness to the planet.
Revisit the plagues of Egypt onto the face of the earth. Yes.
Right. And so it's like all these characters are rushing around to stop Arnold Vosloo from reviving the woman that he died for. And every time they're doing it, I'm like, I totally am behind you, Brendan Fraser, but I would like you to at least take a moment and be like, hey, Mummy, I'm sorry, man.
Well, I feel really bad for the Mummy in the second film. I don't know if you remember the end of that when Evie is helping up Rick, and he's down in this pit, and so is Arnold Vosloo, the Mummy character, and Oxenamoon is supposed to be helping him up, and he's just like, or she looks down and she's like, yeah, see ya, and runs away, and he's just like completely betrayed. And it's like he's worked so hard to bring her back and all this stuff, and she betrays him, and he's just like, okay, that's it, I'm going to hell, and it just tore the heart out of you.
And I think that for me, while I do like the first one a lot more than the other two, and I saw it in theaters, and I was really taken by it. I think I was like 9 years old at the time. I was really taken by it when I watched it, and every time I watch it, I kind of get this sense of this is as close to Indiana Jones as we got in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. And it's more Indiana Jones than Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Which we'll review that movie. We'll talk about that movie at some point, but it won't be pretty. Especially when we're having to talk about Shia LaBeouf and him swinging from the trees with monkeys. Fucking worst. That guy. Scourge of the acting world.
Where's that guy from the last podcast I was on who's there like, oh, Shia LaBeouf's the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh, you sure? Oh, we only let him out every now and then.
Yeah. Get back, Mongo, back.
He also loves Transformers, so yeah.
But didn't like dog soldiers.
Hey, bro, it was too confusing.
That is a sticking point for me.
It was too confusing or it was too boring?
Like, he likes Transformers, but he doesn't like dog soldiers because the plot doesn't make sense.
Hey, bro, you don't need sense when it comes to robots.
Ugh. But apparently you do when it comes to werewolves in the London wilderness.
Hey. I haven't seen the original Mummy, and I don't know if I ever will, just because...
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of other movies to watch, if that makes any sense. But this has nothing to do with the original, right?
It follows some beats, which is kind of interesting, and the whole idea of Imhotep coming back, he's the Mummy, and he comes back, and he's basically trying to, bring back his lost love. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but as far as the adventure and the rollicking kind of stuff, and the half-formed mummy and all this, Yeah, no, that's definitely much more of a 20th century, late 20th century kind of a thing versus the 1933 version. But yeah, it follows a lot of similar stuff. I think that's why there's so many people credited on the screenplay, is because they had to credit the original writers on this. It isn't like, based on characters created by. It's much more of based on the screenplay by these folks from the early 30s.
Right. And, for me personally, the reason that I kind of gravitate to this film is something you said, is that Brendan Fraser is such a fantastic leading man. But he's really not been given a chance to be a leading man since.
No.
I mean, unless it's acting along furry creatures in, I don't know what the hell that movie was called, but nature.
George of the Jungle?
No, well, that movie's actually relatively decent. Furry Vengeance, where it's like him versus like talking bears.
Oh, I thought Furry Vengeance was something completely different.
I thought it was like a Dr. Dolittle with a white guy.
I thought it was like these people that really have to dress like animals to have sex.
Oh my god. Furry Vengeance. Furry Vengeance. Well, it's actually a movie where Brendan Fraser dresses up as an animal to have sex with real animals.
Oh, wow.
Hey, I'd probably watch that movie. That'd be Brendan Fraser in an all-new low. dressing up as a human goat to have sex with other goats.
Here's my question for you guys about Brendan Fraser. I agree that he's a good leading man because he has he has a base quality about him that is pretty good for, like, a general base for a character. But has he been in anything that you guys know of where he actually gets to sort of emote different emotions other than the straight man in a messed up environment?
Oh, yeah. Gods and Monsters he was amazing in.
I was about to say, that's the only movie I can think of, Gods and Monsters.
And I don't know what was that one that he was in way back, like not Glory Days.
Encino Man, your favorite.
No, School Ties. I don't know how that one was. I never bothered to see that. I just remember him in the preview yelling up at the building, "Cowards!" And that's about it.
And it's got like, doesn't that movie have like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in it?
Oh, yeah, it's got an amazing cast.
Yeah. John's favorite, Ben Affleck. No? No, John? Not a fan of Ben Affleck, huh?
Just barely a step above Shia LaBeouf if I have to rank them.
Well, and Brendan Fraser, I mean, he has been in stuff, but a lot of it's just kind of like really obscure and or just strange, like Monkey Bone, which is pretty good.
I like Monkey Bone a lot. I think it's very underrated.
Yeah, it's funny. It's weird. It's very Tim Burton-esque in a, not actually being made by Tim Burton way.
Right. Henry Selick, the same guy who gave us Nightmare Before Christmas. So, yeah, he definitely has that same sensibility.
Yeah. I think that Brendan Fraser, I don't know. I don't know what happened, really. I know his wife divorced him and she took a lot of his money. I've heard about all that stuff, which is unfortunate, but I'm just surprised that no one has cast him as a legitimate leading man since The Mummy 3, which
Inkheart?
Yeah, I never saw that one. How was it?
I don't know. I never saw it either. That's the one where they go into the fairy tale book, right?
Right, but not the same as the Adam Sandler movie.
Right. But he's a leading man. Lord. He's a leading man in Journey to the Center of the Earth, too.
Oh, God. Oh, I forgot he was in that.
And then he's replaced by The Rock in the second movie.
Right.
Because that's a thing now, being replaced by The Rock.
Right.
Yeah, especially as we're talking about these Stephen Sommers films, too.
Right. I'm waiting for The Godfather Part 4, where Michael Corleone is just replaced by The Rock.
Can you smell what Corleone is cooking? It's spaghetti.
It was just business. Then he picks him up and fucking rock bottoms him. Oh, man. I don't even want to talk about The Rock, but that guy, God. I'm glad that you're marketable, but you are not a good actor. I'm sorry. And I think that the plot of this movie, relatively straightforward, but I think it has some interesting beats and it has enough kind of humor along with the action that I think that that's why it's still so popular. And the CGI still looks relatively decent, which I was surprised by rewatching it. I mean, the Scarabs, not so much, but the Mummy himself still looks relatively decent. Mm-hmm. I think. I don't know.
Rachel Weisz.
Well, she's not CGI.
No, I know, but she's decent.
John's trying to say she's attractive.
She's very easy on the eyes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's disappointing that when they jumped into the river off that riverboat,
Wow, John.
they had to CGI white back onto the dress. I would have enjoyed a rated R Mummy.
Did they CGI white back onto the dress?
Yep, they had to digitally paint her dress white again because it got see-through when she jumped in the water.
Oh my.
I have to say, this whole movie is very easy on the eyes as far as the actors go. I mean, my wife is a huge fan of Laszlo Fair and Brendan Fraser in this film. So, and I can see, man, when Laszlo's strutting around in like his little onesie kind of thing, I'm just like, okay, yeah, he's pretty built, you know. Okay.
With his like.
What about Kevin J. O'Connor though? Does your wife like him?
Oh, not as much. I think she draws the line at John Hannah, but yeah.
I was about to ask about John Hannah. He's a nice looking guy, I guess. British
yeah,
and a
handsome
Charming
man.
British man.
Yep.
Do you guys know who the role of Rick O'Connell was originally offered to?
No, who?
It's gonna make you sad that it didn't
Nathan
happen. Sylvester Stallone.
Oh wow. I'm much happier with Brendan Fraser.
Oh no, that would have been awesome. Stallone, just like
Evelyn,
hey, mommy,
get me out of this jail cell.
that scene is nuts. The scene where Brendan Fraser's being hung by his neck
Yeah.
because he almost died.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real died.
He passed out because the newt was legitimately too tight.
Yeah, man. What? Sometimes I wonder, like these like trivia bits that come off of IMDb.
How true are they?
No, not that. Like, why would you put your actors in? It's always the things that seem the least harmful that are always the ones that are almost like, we almost died or someone almost got killed. Like when I spoke to Billy Campbell from The Rocketeer, in The Rocketeer there's a scene where they're at the observatory and he turns on the rocket pack while he's on the ground and he skids across the ground. Mm-hmm. One of the stuntmen got like almost paralyzed by doing that because he like flew into a ravine full of rocks.
Oh, jeez.
And you wouldn't think that that's like the one stunt that would get someone really injured. But I mean, it's like it's the same thing in The Mummy. Like, why you don't put...
Don't actually put a guy in a noose?
Yeah, for the love of God. I mean, there's got to be a better way to do it.
Because most of the times you drop a character from a noose and you show like the trapdoor open, the feet dropping, and then the feet dangling. And you don't. But in The Mummy, you like see him hanging from a rope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Albeit, I think that the drop is from a distance away, so I don't know why they didn't do that digitally.
Yeah, that's true.
It's really. I'm just like, wow, would you guys like? That's not a great idea when you're putting your main actor in this like,
in a functioning gallows.
Yeah, like good lord, it's called The Mummy, not The Mummy Snuff Film Edition. Or the kind of the other trivia fact from the movie that always kind of makes me laugh is that a lot of the stuff, like the funny stuff, was like ad-libbed. Like that's interesting, but the thing that I find interesting is how many people were attached to it that are like mainstays of the horror community, and this movie didn't end up being a horror movie. Like at one point Clive Barker was attached to it, another point George A. Romero was attached to it. Can you imagine how kind of different this film had been if they had gone with like an actual horror director as opposed to just like a guy who directs action movies, G.I. Joe movies? It would have been a different movie, and I think that the movie treads that horror line in spots because the guy gets his eyes ripped out. Tuc Watkins' character gets his eyes and tongue ripped out.
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk about that scene for a minute?
The one where he's kind of like in the labyrinth of catacombs?
Well,
or the one where the mummy shows up at his apartment.
They missed a huge joke opportunity with that. Because he takes the eyes from the one guy in that party who's wearing glasses.
Right.
He so should have had bad eyesight and had to have taken eyes from another one of the guys from the party.
No, the mummy should have just been wearing glasses the whole rest of the movie.
It would have been great. Had a nice POV shot from the mummy, and everything's just a little blurry, and then you cut back to him, and he's squinting and stuff. That would have been awesome.
I think this movie also really benefits from having been filmed on location. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it was filmed in Morocco. They went to Morocco for a fair amount of time to film in the desert, and there have been some movies that kind of try to fudge it. But I think that the kind of this movie feels very, I wouldn't say dirty, because it still has kind of a high level of polish on it.
Sandy.
Wow, simply stunning. But they clearly put a lot of time and money and effort into this movie, and it comes across on screen.
Right.
And, I think it's unfortunate that the two sequels afterwards were not as good as the first one. Especially not the third one.
I don't remember disliking either of them. I just don't remember specifics about them.
The second one just goes through the same beats of the first one. It's pretty much the same beats until you get to the end where they fight The Rock as a giant scorpion.
With
the Scorpion King?
Yeah.
Because then they made that Scorpion King movie.
Which was the first movie that The Rock was the lead in.
Scorpion King, which was very, Conan light, I would have to say.
Yeah. It very much was just a Conan movie in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
In the Egyptian desert, I guess.
So the first Mummy film, kind of scary in parts still. I think they did a good job with mixing the laughs with the fright and that kind of stuff. We go to see the second Mummy film, expecting pretty much the same. But apparently the people who came in with their 8-year-old didn't really get the memo. And my wife and I were there for a pre-screening, preview screening. So everybody had their cardboard cards, and they're coming in and handing them in and stuff. And these people couldn't find 3 seats together. So rather than asking anybody to move, the mom and dad sat together and left their 8-year-old son sitting next to my wife. So basically she, by proxy, became the caretaker. And so, when scary things are coming up, obviously she knows the same beats as the Mummy, and she's like, okay, it's going to be a scary part here. You might want to close your eyes, and she's like, why am I doing this? Why isn't the mom sitting with the kid? And, you got 3 seats. It's not this crazy math problem. You put the kid with one of the parents, the other parent sits there. But nope, so... Pretty good. Yeah. Way to go, parenting.
Good parenting at the Mummy.
Yes. I wouldn't have done anything. That kid would have sat down next to me alone, and I would have been like, strap in, kid.
Do some of those fake gasps when a scare is about to happen. You go.
I actually remember when I went and saw The Mummy Returns that someone pulled a fire alarm in the theater. So everyone had to leave the theater and then come back in, halfway through the movie. So
that might have been for the best. Was it before the balloon scene?
I think it was right around the balloon scene.
Okay, yeah. Once the balloon shows up, just leave the theater.
Oh my god. Yeah, I actually when I watched The Mummy earlier in the month, and I watched it again this weekend. And earlier in the month, I actually watched 2 and 3 after I watched the first one, and it really is diminishing returns as a trilogy. Because
the concept of 3 though. It's like a Eastern Chinese.
Yeah, but the reason the first one and the second one are so good is because of the interaction between the characters.
Right.
Between Arnold Vosloo and Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz and John Hannah. It's not the concept at that point. After the first one, it's really not. No one gives a shit about the concept. It's more about you want to see your favorite characters interacting.
Isn't Brendan Fraser in the third one still though?
Yeah, but Rachel Weisz isn't.
Right, yeah. And I like Maria Bello, but she just doesn't have the same comic chops as Rachel Weisz in this film. So, which is weird to say. You don't generally think of Rachel Weisz as being a comedian, but she holds her own.
And the third one isn't even directed by Stephen Sommers either. It's directed by Rob Cohen, who I don't know what else he's directed off the top of my head. He directed that movie. He directed The Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And he directed that movie about the plane that flies itself.
The drone?
Stealth. Yes, it's the plane that flies itself, and Jessica Biel and Jamie Foxx are tasked with shooting it down.
Those guys on the We Hate Movies podcast just covered that one recently, and oh my god, that their description of that movie. Oh yeah, I never saw the movie. My wife saw it, and she wasn't overly impressed. And to hear them describe it, it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
It just looks bad, and the concept is just eye-rollingly bad. And, the third Mummy movie, again, it really does suffer from the lack of the main cast, because in the third one, no Arnold Vosloo, no Rachel Weisz, and no Oded Fehr either.
Right.
who is one of the best characters in the franchise, Ardeth Bay. He's really kind of in the first movie, until about halfway through, he's kind of the odd man out because he doesn't really show up until they're at the museum, right? Yeah. Because they walk in on him and Eric Avari, like, talking. And like, you son of a bitch, let's just shoot him. Because just shoot everybody.
Well, he is the narrator, which is nice. I mean, really, the whole story is told through him, which is terrific. And he gives us the intro to where the mummy was created and all that kind of stuff. And he shows up, I want to say he's watching the guys when they first visit Hamunaptra, the soldiers. Right. When Rick is first there. It gets a little tedious at times, I will admit, the whole idea of like, we're in Hamunaptra, we're back in the city. We're in Hamunaptra, we're back in the city. And it happens a little too much for me sometimes, but I don't know. I just go with it, and it works for me.
Yeah, because they go back 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, though?
I like Eric Avari, too, a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I cut you off.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if I agree that they do the back and forth too much. I think it makes sense for their characters to do those things, and I also really like the inclusion of the American team.
Yeah, it's nice that they have rivals who aren't villains, but still they have something in there before Vosloo shows up, because he doesn't show up for a long damn time in the film, which is good, though. It also kind of throws some doubt into what's going to happen, also raises a little bit of the fright factor, like what will happen if he shows up, and keeps us in suspense for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. And they also, like, each of the Americans, I feel like they absolutely have their own characters, too. Like, they don't get a lot of time to sort of lay it out for the audience, but every scene that the Americans are in, each American sort of has their own behavioral traits that you can see every time they're in a scene.
I'm going to point something out here, Mike, that John loves the Americans because they remind him of cowboys from Western movies.
Well, that too.
John, you're just itching to get into Western ones so badly. You're like, I love them. They're cowboys.
I mean, that's definitely my favorite joke of the whole movie, is when they're on that riverboat and Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and John Hannah are like running away, trying to get away from the bad guys. And John Hannah rounds the corner and sees them, and they've circled the tables, and the Americans are just like gun blasting everybody.
Yeehaw! Yeah.
And poor Jonathan Hyde is just sitting there like scared shitless.
I mean, just so many nice little jokes in there. Like in that particular scene when it's like, when he says to Benny, you stay here, I'll go get help, and jumps in the river, and Benny's just standing there for the longest time. Or wait, no, that wasn't Benny. That was the other guy. I'm sorry. I'm totally misremembering.
Yeah, Omid Jalali.
Yeah. It's Benny who's got that great line about, we've got all the horses. Yeah.
You're on the wrong side of the river. There are so many great lines in this movie that are like comedic.
Yeah.
For an action movie, my personal favorite line is, when Rachel Weisz meets Brendan Fraser's character, he looks like a caveman, looks like Encino Man. Mm-hmm. In like a Moroccan jail, and she walks up to him, and he's telling her about Hamunaptra, and she goes, "Do you swear?" And he goes, "Every damn day." And that, I mean, it's just, the screenwriting in this movie is so smart, and they never really recapture it, even in the second one. The second one kind of falls into the trap of, now we're a thing, let's make it bigger and better.
Right.
As opposed to understanding what everybody liked about the first movie, which wasn't pygmy mummies jumping off of
little Zuni fetish dolls from Trilogy of Terror. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And the addition of the kid really hurts.
There's like a dog outside my apartment barking.
I can't hear it.
No, I can't hear it either.
Well, it's not going right now, but it was when I was saying hang on. It's pooping now.
Okay, good.
Are you...
Okay, now you can go, I think.
Okay, you were saying? Go ahead, Mike.
I was saying the addition of a kid is really bad news as well, and just, I don't know. I'm glad they kind of got out of that by the third one, right? Wasn't he like a young man at that point?
Yeah, he was like in his like mid 20s, I think.
Right, but then you had the imbalance as far as, are we following Rick or are we following his son now? And it's almost like you've got a rivalry for that, and it's not the easy balance that you had with Rick and Oded Fair and John Hannah's character, where you've got three men all vying for this, but there's a nice balance between them. And then Rachel Weisz is a very kick-ass heroine, and I like that she is super smart in these movies as well. And I think there's even a line where it's just like, well, what does she know about stuff? And she's the one that can translate the Egyptian, that knows all the history, does all this stuff, and she's the smartest one of the group.
It's actually my second favorite line in the movie is, they are led by a woman. What does a woman know? Jonathan Hyde's delivery of that line is fucking great. Just the disdain in his voice as this, like, Egyptologist who is with the Americans, just like, fuck this shit. Oh, man.
I think the probably the best instance that illustrates your point about how useful Rachel Weisz's character is when John Hannah is trying to read the inscription on the book in the climax, and he's like, I can't tell what this last symbol is, and she asks him to describe it, and he does a really shitty job at describing it, and she's just like, oh, it's this, without even looking at the book.
Yeah.
And then they repeat that beat in the second movie, like, identically, with John Hannah as the one fighting, and their kid as the one reading the book. Yeah.
Just because it worked once doesn't mean you have to do it every time.
Yeah. But hey, don't take our word for it. We just watch movies. We don't write them. It just really felt like diminishing returns in a way that Indiana Jones doesn't. The first, second, and third Indiana Jones don't at all feel like diminishing returns. And in some people's mindset, the third Indiana Jones is the best one.
In some people's minds.
I always forget what order they're actually in.
Were you talking chronologically?
Like, what order did they come out in?
1, 2, 3.
No, I mean...
What?
Ark of the Covenant.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple
of Doom.
And then
Last Crusade. Yep.
and then there were no other movies. There was a fan film that someone made.
And some kids got together and they recreated Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that's it.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever made another one again.
Even though, was it either this week or the week before, they said 2018 new Indiana Jones movie coming out. Thanks, Disney. Yeah, thank you. God only knows.
Starring Chris Pratt?
Now?
Yeah, starring Chris Pratt. Yeah, more or less.
Good.
I'm assuming. It is Disney because Lucas owned Indiana Jones.
Right, and Disney bought all of Lucasfilms.
Yep. I don't know why these movies suffer from diminishing returns, unlike Indiana Jones, but this movie is one of my favorite action movies because of just how tight it feels as a standalone product. And yes, I understand that it was immensely successful. It was $80 million budget. It made $415 at the box office. So they were going to make a sequel, but it wasn't as great as the first movie. The first movie is a really great movie that I would say is one of my favorite action movies, hands down, and probably one of the better action movies that come out of the late 90s, early 2000s.
I would agree with you, but I don't know why, but for me personally, this is another one of those movies that I watch it, and every time I watch it, I like it, and then I just forget about it.
So like The Rocketeer.
Right. It's exactly.
Because it has that same quality of The Rocketeer to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a throwback period piece.
Right, and it's missing something for me for it to be one of those movies that sticks out in my mind, and I can't put my finger on what it is that it's missing.
Vin Diesel.
Probably.
Every movie's missing Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel as the voice of a scarab. Oh, man, just going, I am scarab, over and over again. Oh, shit. So, Mike, watch it, skip it, best performance.
Oh, definitely watch it. And you know what? I'm going to go Kevin J. O'Connor for the best performance there. Benny.
Nice.
Definitely. I cannot get enough Benny in my life.
Kevin J. O'Connor is a really good character actor.
He is amazing.
Yeah.
He's so good. And I want to say he was in, what was that one that, did Sommers have something to do with that monster on a boat movie?
Deep Rising, yeah. He directed Deep Rising.
Okay, yeah, and O'Connor's in that as well. And, of course, O'Connor's got the classic line from Peggy Sue Got Married, no more Jell-O for me, Mom.
He's also in G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra.
Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff. I mean, Color of Night, fantastic film that people hate. Flight of the Living Dead, also with Eric Avari, amazing film.
He was also in There Will Be Blood, playing Daniel Day-Lewis's brother in quotations.
Yes, the fake brother, yeah. Yeah, and I was glad to see him show up in that and The Master and be looking okay, because for a few years he was looking really super emaciated. I thought maybe he had some wasting disease going on.
He was also in Lord of the Illusions, which is a totally nuts movie. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a Clive Barker movie. Still
haven't seen that one. I want to, though.
It was on Netflix. It's got Scott Bakula as the main character, which Scott Bakula is just...
I also wanted to recut that preview and like have him at the end as Sam from Quantum Leap going, "Oh boy."
And he never made it home. Fucking downer of a season ending, of a show ending for that show. Jesus Christ.
I gave up around the time he was supposed to assassinate Kennedy, I think.
Oh man. That show could go anywhere, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, what about you?
Definitely watch it. You know, it's entertaining. Best performance, I guess I'm going to go with John Hannah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and I think I like his character best of everyone.
I was going to say it, John. Say it. Do it.
What?
Say he's the best character in the movie.
Yeah, I did just say he's the best character in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this now for a couple weeks, and we're going to do it again this week. We look at the Rotten Tomato meter and kind of give our thoughts as to whether or not it's true or, you know, how we feel about it. So, Mike and John, what do you think the tomato meter is at for The Mummy?
87%.
I'm going to say 72.
You are both wrong. It is at 55%.
What?
Yeah, it is at 55% rotten. Critics' consensus, it's difficult to make a persuasive argument for The Mummy as any kind of meaningful cinematic achievement, but it's undeniably fun to watch.
I mean, that I agree with, but 70% is, 52% is still really way lower than I would have expected for like a legitimately fun, entertaining movie.
It's rated 2 points lower than Transformers.
Oh, you're killing me.
2 points lower than what? Sorry?
Transformers.
Fucking Transformers. That's why I don't use Rotten Tomatoes.
But the audience score is 75%. So, you know, I guess we err on the side of the actual audience, not, A.O. Scott from, just saying. Saying A.O. Scott. I trust your opinion most of the time. For me personally, watch it. This movie's awesome. It's a really good movie, and like John said, it is one of those movies that I watch every now and then, and I forget about it, but it is a movie that every time I watch it, I'm like, man, I should watch this movie more often, or at least not forget about it. Favorite performance? Oh man, we're not gonna give any love to the main actor. I'm gonna go with Oded Fehr, because
nice.
Yeah, he sticks out in my mind. It was either him or Arnold Vosloo, but Oded Fehr, just like you said, Mike, he kind of rounds out the main male cast of the movie. And actually, you know what? I'm actually going to change mine. Jonathan Hyde as the Egyptologist.
Wow.
Because he has some really great lines, and I wish that him and the American characters had more screen time.
Well, me too.
Yeah. So, before we get on to the Relic, I got a chance to speak with Tuc Watkins, who played one of the Americans, who played Burns, who gets his eyes ripped out. And I also got to speak with Jonathan Hyde about The Mummy. So we'll play those interviews back to back, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Relic. How did you get involved in The Mummy?
Well, I went to an audition for the character of Burns, and what Burns mostly does in The Mummy is run and scream. And so my audition was not very dialogue heavy, but one of the things that I had to do in the audition was speak without a tongue. And so I was able to draw on a former experience, actually, because when I was in high school, I did what was called a humorous interpretation of a play by Christopher Durang called The Nature and Purpose of the Universe, and one of the characters had no tongue, and so he had to talk without a tongue. And so I actually had done that in the past, so I just kind of, pulled that out of my bag of tricks. And one day on set when we were in Africa, Stephen Sommers, the director, said to me, he said, "Do you know why I cast you?" And I said, "No, but I'm curious." And he said, "I like the way you sounded with your tongue cut out." So my drama experience from high school actually paid off and put me in a big monster movie down the road.
Wow. And I don't know how many actors can say they got a role because the director liked the way they sounded without their tongue.
That's right.
That's
right. It pays off to be in drama club in high school.
Right, totally. So when you were cast in the film, I'm assuming after you were cast, you went out to film on location in Marrakesh in the Sahara. What was that like being on location in the middle of the desert?
It was very exciting. For a guy growing up in Missouri and working in guest star parts and soap operas and things like that in L.A., to be invited to go do a movie in North Africa and London for 6 months was just fantastic. And I flew to Marrakesh, and I don't think I actually shot any scenes in Marrakesh, but from there we went to a little town in the middle of nowhere called Erfoud, and the hotel we stayed in was more like a prison than a hotel. It was all cinder block, and we all had our own little individual room, but it was not the kind of place you would want to stay. So if you weren't working that day, you hung out at the pool and drank red wine with the rest of the cast until they needed you. So it was kind of a vacation, and I got to do some work on that vacation.
So when you were in the Sahara and filming, I've heard and read that it was kind of harrowing to some extent. Is that kind of the way it was? Because the fauna that was in the Sahara was not cooperating, like the snakes and scorpions and...
Well, that's true. There were snake wranglers on set, and they were men who wore sort of a distinctive orange cloth around their waist or around their head, and they carried a metal staff. The ironic thing was they all wore open-toed sandals, which did not make any sense to me, but at the same time I thought, well, if they're confident enough to wear open-toed sandals, they must be awfully good at what they do. And so
Right.
I would always position myself near one of those guys because I just felt safer. And I remember one night they caught something called a wind scorpion. And if a scorpion is not terrifying enough, a wind scorpion is even scarier. It's almost see-through. It's translucent. You can see its organs working. It's long and ugly, and it's just terrifying. And they put it in a like an Evian type water bottle, and they walked it around and they showed it to everyone, basically saying, "See, you need us here." And they were right. We did need them there.
Oh man, as if having to deal with co-stars that are a pain in the ass isn't enough. Having to deal with fauna, I can only imagine.
That's right.
Yeah. So some of the scenes that stick out in my mind in the film that I was kind of curious about are the boat scene. One of them is the boat scene. What was it like filming the boat scene?
Well, the entire boat sequence was filmed in and around London. And they built a boat inside of a soundstage at Shepperton Studios. They flooded the stage with about, maybe 4 feet of water to make it look like we were out, in the middle of, I guess, what would that river have been in?
It would be the Nile, I would assume.
Thank you very much. Yes, I've heard of that now.
Yeah.
The Nile. So
Right.
we shot a lot of it on that boat, which was constructed. And then we also shot part of that when we all jump off of the boat and swim to the edge of the river. That was shot on a river outside London. I believe it was the Thames, a stretch of the Thames. And they constructed what looked like a boat out in the river, but it was a much smaller scale model. And then they lit it on fire about 50 yards away. But I guess what they did with the camera, it made it look closer, and it made it look like a real boat, just sort of part of the movie magic. But we had to, wear our period costumes, wade out into the river, dunk our heads along with the horses. So there was horses going to the bathroom in the river. There was us, dunking our heads in that water. And to tell you the truth, it was a blast.
Yeah. Was that filming the actual on boat scene? Was it very dangerous because all the fire all over the place?
It never really felt that dangerous. The fire was obviously all very controlled fire. I don't remember being concerned about the fire. There was a lot of mayhem. The guns that we Americans used were, period replicas, and they did not work more often than they did work, and they would jam all the time. And what they told us to do was, if your gun jams, just keep acting like it's working, and then we'll put in the spark of the bullet going off in post-production. So it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I think if you go back and you watch that, and you watch the sequence with the gun shootout on the boat, you can see us Americans, when we shoot our gun, we sort of give it a kick that we manually put in there so that they would know where to put the spark to show that the gun did go off, because it usually didn't.
Oh wow! I'll have to go back and look for that then.
Yeah.
'Cause that, I can only imagine. I mean, that's just that's just movie making, right? Sometimes you got to do things you don't even expecting. So kind of after this boat scene, there's a camel race through the desert to Hamunaptra, and the Americans are on kind of one side, and the heroes are on the other. What was it like filming that scene?
Well, before we were given clearance to even leave the U.S. to go shoot the movie, we had to go to Palmdale, which is a community north of L.A. in the desert, and we had to have a wrangler check us off on the fact that we could ride a horse and that we could ride a camel, because we were told we would be riding either or both when we were over there. And I'd grown up around horses, so riding a horse was, pretty much second nature. I'd never been on a camel, and riding the camel was, it wasn't terribly difficult. It was, more fun than anything else. And when we got over there, we were supposed to be on camels in the script, but they decided to put the Americans on horses, and they put Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz and John Hannah and the hero group on camels. I think mostly because it was just sexier to have the heroes on camels, and then they had us knuckleheads, the Americans, who were going to get picked off one by one. We were all on horseback. But so during the big race, it was supposed to be neck and neck, and who's going to win, who's going to get to the mouth of the volcano first. And our horses kept outrunning the camels. So when it looks like we're trying to get our horses to go fast, what we're actually doing is pulling them back, because they were naturally beating the camels to the finish line. So it was mayhem, but again, it was a lot of fun. And I think it was Corey Johnson's horse. As we entered the mouth of the volcano, it was an extinct volcano, which was our destination. It was a very narrow passage to get in there, but they wanted all three of us, Corey Johnson and Stephen Dunham and myself, they wanted us all to arrive at the same time. And so our horses were, sort of squished up next to each other, and one of the horses decided to reach around and bite me. So I had a pretty good horse bite on my left knee on, I think that was the first day we were out in the middle of nowhere. And I didn't want to complain too much, because it felt like there was so many other things going on around me. But I'll tell you, a horse bite to the knee really hurts. So I sort of quietly went over to the medic and said, one of the horses kind of bit me. And so I was wearing, these wool knickers with wool socks, and we pulled up my leg, and sure enough, there was a pretty good, more of a scrape than anything, but I was bleeding, and I said, let's just quietly cover this up, and we cleaned it and bandaged it, and I got back on the horse and kind of kept my mouth shut until today.
Oh, wow. Until today.
Yeah, until today. I figure it's safe 16 years later now.
Right, yeah. Jeez, yeah. Again, with the whole, you can control actors as much as you want, but when it comes to animals and all sorts of other things, it's just,
Yeah, and I
can never really know, right?
I didn't want to go back and sit in that cinder block prison of a hotel just because I'd been bitten. I wanted to stick around and do more of the fun stuff.
Right. So when they started filming on the crater of the volcano set, the Hamunaptra set, what was that like?
Well, it was amazing. The scale of I'd never worked on anything of that kind of scale, where it was more than a football field wide and long, and the ruins looked real. And I bought myself a fancy camera because I thought before I went, because I thought this would be a great opportunity to get some great pictures of the scale and scope of what we were doing. So I was kind of the guy on set that kept taking pictures of co-stars and the set, and you really couldn't tell that these things were fake. And to speak to the scale of this production, we shot for several days, maybe weeks, in the above ground ruins in the mouth of the volcano, and then we went away and we did some stuff up in the village. And when we came back, there were some scenes where they destroyed the entire thing. When the locusts arrive and the whole thing goes to hell and everything collapses. Right. So we shot that, and then they rebuilt it because we still had to do more outdoor shooting in and among that stuff. So you get a pretty good idea of how big budget movies go into the millions and millions because for one reason or another it made more sense scheduling wise or cost wise to destroy it and then rebuild it again and shoot some more. So it was just crazy. I've never worked on anything on a scale like that before.
Jeez. Well, there you go. I mean, that's kind of, it seemed counterintuitive to me, but like you said, I guess scheduling or...
Right. Well, I wasn't there to figure out the why. I was just there to be part of the project, I guess.
Right. So there's a fairly big set piece set in the mouth of the volcano that involves the Magi coming and fighting with everyone in that area. Can you tell me what it was like in that scene?
Well, I remember that I was trying to figure out how is Burns different than Henderson the cowboy or Corey, who played sort of the gangster. And I was kind of the bookworm. And I was sort of the historian, and I wore a bow tie, and I wore a tweed jacket. And so I remember talking to the director one day. I said, how do you feel about when we all get involved in this big gunfight in the middle of the night out of nowhere that I'm shaving? And I just thought it's just something different. It's a way that sort of speaks to the character of Burns that makes sense. And he seemed to like it. So in that scene, I've got shaving cream on half of my face, and so I was trying to maintain continuity with the correct amount of shaving cream on my face and shoot a gun at the same time, which it proved to be pretty tricky.
Yeah, the more you talk about your character, the more I realize that your character is almost like what would Indiana Jones be like if he wasn't Indiana Jones and he was just a teacher?
Right.
Yeah, more or less, because he's kind of bow tie, tweed jacket, bookish. Your character, he doesn't. I know why he's with the group, but he doesn't seem like the kind of person that would be with the group otherwise. He wouldn't go out of his way to go to the middle of Egypt.
Right.
Because he's not like a cowboy or a gangster.
This setting is certainly not Burns' comfort zone by any means. And I think maybe because the three of us, I can't remember Corey's character's name, who played sort of the gangster, the American gangster type guy. Anyway, Henderson was the tough cowboy, and then there was Corey, who played the had the machismo and guts of the American gangster, and I was kind of the brainy guy. And if you add those three together, they sort of create one character. So we were all different, sort of three stripes that made up one character that was sort of the side that was looking for the mummy alongside Brendan Fraser and his crowd. And so, one by one, we all fell victim to our own foibles.
Right. So, kind of we're getting to that, point. What was, at one point in the movie, everybody rushes inside because the locusts show up, and you get separated from the group, and you lose your glasses, and you're fumbling around, and what I would say is probably one of the, actually suspenseful, scary parts in the movie, you run into the mummy. What was it like filming scenes with with the CGI mummy? I mean, was there someone on set who was standing in for it, or were you just acting to dead air?
Well, the first part that I did was what you mentioned when we're all running through the catacombs and I trip and I lose my glasses, and I always called myself Velma from the Scooby Gang. Because I lost my glasses and I was searching around for my glasses, like Velma did on Scooby-Doo. That was done, without the mummy present. And then when I'm searching down the catacombs with my hands along the wall and I've got my gun drawn and I hear the mummy's voice and I see sort of a shadow in the distance, and then I hear a noise behind me and I turn around and there's a shadow in that distance. I said to the director, I said, so is there a mummy up ahead of me, and is there a mummy behind me? And he said, no, Tuc, there's only one mummy. It's called the Mummy. There's not more than one mummy. So I think I showed the director that I was kind of a knucklehead by asking that question. But
to be fair, there are more mummies at the end of the film.
Right, but they had not risen yet. Right. So the only CGI work that I really recall doing with Arnold, and Arnold was always there, who played the mummy. He was always there in his sort of a leotard that he wore, sort of a skin-tight leotard, and then there were little electrodes placed strategically around his body, on his shoulder, on his knee, several on his face, to animate what would later be, the mummy. And that was after he had ripped my tongue out of my mouth and and my eyes, and I was crawling along the sand, which is when Rachel finds me. So I did have to react to Arnold wearing that leotard, which wasn't terribly scary. Arnold was so much fun and such a great character. And we all kind of gravitated to Arnold in a way out there in the middle of the desert because he has this magnificent South African guttural voice. And when he says something, it has a lot of gravity to it. And I always found myself very safe around Arnold, even though he was the very thing that killed me.
Right.
It was sort of a strange dichotomy there because in real life, I was really drawn to him and felt safe around him when, people are looking for sand vipers and scorpions. I felt like Arnold, if he just looked at them the right way, they would run away. And the guy had to play that, he's the guy that actually kills me. And then when we did the scene where, I get eviscerated, we're sitting there having tea together, and he's wearing black makeup around his eyes and mouth because he wore sort of this death mask. But when he took the death mask off, it looked like funny makeup. So we would sit there and laugh between takes, and then I would have to turn on the horror when he put the mask back on. So it was a strange dichotomy between laughter and horror.
Right. So was there any sort of prep work that had to be done for your death scene? Did you have to have a body cast made or anything for your death scene?
I did have to have a body cast made. I'd never done that before, and we did that here in Los Angeles before we shipped out to Africa, and that was an amazing experience where you have to sit very still and they pour this hot molten stuff all over you, and then they stick straws up your nose and tell you to relax. And it's the exact opposite of a relaxing experience. But I saw the final product, when they reveal Burns' dead body, and they had put meticulously placed hair on him that looked like my hair, and it actually looked so much like my face if all of my guts and blood and liquid had been removed from my body, and there was just that dead, dry skin and hollowed out cheeks. My parents and my sister came over to visit, and we all went and we looked at that, and it was an unnerving experience because it looked so real to look at yourself as if something this horrible had actually happened. And I've got a big mummy photo album that I put together, and that's there on the cover, and you look at it and think, wow, they did an amazing job. The same guys made they made locusts. They put on Jonathan Hyde's face, and they made the scarab beetles, and it's just amazing that the stuff that those guys make.
Right. So, speaking of your co-stars, what was it like to, work with some of your co-stars on the film?
Well, I had not met anyone on the movie before. Jonathan Hyde and Corey and Steve and I, we hung out a lot because we hung out both on screen and when we weren't on screen together. We were all, had days off, so we spent a lot of time together. And it was kind of like, brothers in a foxhole. We all got to know each other really well, and I think, really appreciated how we were very different people who may not come together outside an experience like this. And Steve and I were both from Los Angeles, so when we came back to L.A., we spent time together, and I'm so sad to say that he passed away a couple of years ago. He had a heart attack, and it kind of came out of nowhere. And I think about that guy a lot. He was genuinely one of the funniest and kindest people that I've ever met. And when I heard of his death, I was extremely upset. And when I think about it, it makes me so sad, because we were kind of, brothers in a foxhole when we were making a movie. And then we got to know each other beyond that and became friends. And I was just so sad that he's not around anymore. Jonathan Hyde lives in London, so I don't see him as much, but he came to visit L.A. and I saw him. I've seen him recently on The Strain. He's an amazing actor, and he used to do this thing. He wore a monocle in the movie, and he would do this bit where he would wear the monocle, and then he would drop the monocle, but out of his eye, but his eye would stay in the same shape as if he was holding the monocle, which I don't know how that guy did that, but it was hilarious. I can't remember if that made it onto screen or not, but it was always a sight gag that he would always do at lunch to make us all laugh. And I think Corey is still living in London. He's sort of an expat from America who, I think a girl took him over to London, and he's been in London for a long time. I see him pop up in the movies. So we haven't really stayed in touch a whole lot. I've run into Brendan a few times here and there, a restaurant or a party or something like that, and so we chat about the good times. He gave me a pocket knife when we wrapped the movie, which I still keep in a drawer. And I have really fond memories about that experience and all of those people. So I feel very lucky to have been part of such a big production and part of spend some time with some incredibly talented people.
Yeah, and this is kind of my almost my last question is, what effect did being in The Mummy have on your career afterwards?
Well, let's see. As soon as we finished that, I think that was the summer. We finished that in the early fall of '98, I think. I came back to Los Angeles, and a couple months after that, I was cast in a Showtime series called Beggars and Choosers, which moved me to Vancouver, Canada, for a couple of years. And about 3 months after starting that is when The Mummy came out. So I was booked on a series when it came out, because I kept thinking, now I'm going to be a movie star. And I was working on this really cool TV series for a couple of years, and then after that, worked on some more stuff. I moved to New York, worked on a soap opera there for about 3 years, and then came back to L.A., where I worked on Desperate Housewives for 5 years, and that ended a year or two ago. I just finished a feature film called Retake. It is going to hit the festival circuit this summer. So I've been really lucky in being able to do TV and film, and there's good years and there's bad years, and that's sort of the life of an actor.
Right. Do you want to talk a little bit about your upcoming film?
It's an independent film called Retake. I describe it as sort of a gay version of Thelma and Louise meets 50 Shades of Grey. it's basically a two-person movie. Myself and a younger guy named Devin Gray, who's a great actor, and it's a road trip movie about overcoming loss and trying to move forward with one's life when they feel like they don't have anything to live for any longer. So it's a pretty heavy drama with some great backdrops out in Yucca Valley and the Joshua Tree and the Grand Canyon. So that's supposed to be hitting the festival mark. We just wrapped it last week, but they're trying to get it into festivals in Europe. Berlin, I know, is one that they have their eyes on as early as July. So that's the next thing I got coming out.
How did you get involved with The Mummy?
Well, I'm sorry to say it. Like everything else, I'm not really sure what a good answer is to that. I auditioned.
Well, sometimes they're interesting answers, and sometimes it's just I auditioned. You know.
I know. I wish I could provide a really sort of crisp and interesting answer. You know, I bumped into somebody, you know, who'd been knocked off their surfboard in Hawaii, and I saved them as they were driven onto the rocks. And he said, "Why didn't you do The Mummy?"
Well, you can just say that's how it happened, and you know.
Well, that's how it happened.
There you go.
Steve Sommers, he was almost dead, and I had to drag him out of the surf and pump his chest, and he coughed up a lot of seawater, and then he made the offer.
That's fantastic. Oh man. So how did you prepare for your role? Because there are some lines that you speak in the film that are not English, obviously.
Well, there was a bit of you know, mumbo jumbo stuff that was thrown in there because at some point, I mean, for some ludicrous reason, and don't ask me why it happened, when the credits came up, I was called Dr. Alan Chamberlain. Well, that was news to me.
Actually, in the credits, because I just watched the film over the weekend, in the credits of I Watch, you're just Egyptologist.
Oh, good. Well, that's exactly who I should be.
Okay.
I was an Egyptologist, so I saw myself as being one of those transnational ethnic types, you know, probably somebody with an Egyptian mother and an English father who'd gone to school in England, you know, and then became interested in Egyptology and had gone back to my sort of home country and had done a lot of research and was attached to the Cairo Museum and all that sort of stuff and got in with the wrong crowd.
Right.
Well, I got in with a crowd that lost.
Right. Lost in more ways than one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you have to do anything to prepare for that role?
Not really. No, I don't think so. I had to get on a plane to Marrakesh, and then I had to get in a car and be driven to her food, and I had to, you know, just do the stuff. No, yeah. I didn't do anything particularly special. I took some donkey lessons.
You mean?
Because I had to ride a donkey.
For riding, yeah.
For my money, the best scene in the movie was never made the cut.
Isn't that always the way it is, though?
It was. You might. I don't know whether you remember, but you remember when they all take off and there's a kind of race,
right,
between both the parties to get to Hamunaptra,
mm-hmm.
and so they just take off in a whirl of horses and camels, and my donkey and I was just riding the donkey and holding an umbrella, and the donkey decided this is amazing, and the donkey took off as fast as his little legs would carry him. I'm going as fast as he could. I mean, obviously, horses and camels were sweeping by on both sides, so I was making sure not to fall off. But so everything galloped towards the camera, a great pile of dust, and I suppose 15 seconds after the last horse had passed the camera, out of a haze of dust, going like the clappers, came me on my donkey, which was just, it was a real, you know, when a thing is genuinely really quite a lot of fun,
right? And
it was a lot of fun, and everybody did have a really good laugh, and that was the best of the whole sort of thing, really. But obviously, in terms of driving the narrative forward, you really want to stay with the race.
Right.
You know, no one's really interested in seeing what happens to the guy who comes last.
Well, I mean, your character in the film has some of the funnier lines. I know one of the lines is, I wouldn't say it's not offensive, but it's still pretty funny. The one that I always think of that your character says, you know, when they're digging, and he looks over and sees Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and they're, you know, running around, and they're led by a woman. What does a woman know? Like, that line is just
perfect.
Yeah. Oh,
it's a period piece, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
I thought it was sort of 1912 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I always think a lot of those adventure films seem to be set in that romantic sort of era before, you know, when people took twin winged aeroplanes and landed on water a lot.
Right.
And clearly, you know, that's a perfect piece of put down for the period. And if one uttered it nowadays, you'd probably be subjected to a couple of uppercuts.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From the woman.
Right. Yeah. Can't get away with stuff like that anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like filming in Marrakesh and the Sahara?
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a paid holiday. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I love Marrakesh anyway. I think it's a really nice town, and it's just a lovely place to visit. I mean, I've been there just simply as a tourist a couple of times, so it was really nice to go back, and I went back again since, and then even more curious really was filming in food. Food is just a little sleepy town in the middle of nowhere. It's not even in the desert as such.
Right.
It's near the desert, but it's not in the desert. So it's just a dusty little place, and we were put in this hotel that was a bit reminiscent of The Shining.
Oh wow.
There were lots of leatherette sofas and great big portraits of King Hassan, and very few people. Curiously, this is a big hotel. Best thing about it, fantastic sort of pool with fed by a natural spring.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a perfect place. You could sort of live there really, and we sort of did. You know, Omid Jalili and various people, but we all hung out pretty much around the pool. But the thing was that the hotel was the clientele, the tourist clientele, usually arrived, if there were people, by bus or a couple of buses at about 6:30 in the evening. They'd go straight into a dining room, they'd eat their dinner, and they'd all retire to bed, and they would be up at 5 o'clock or something the next morning to be bussed to the Magusa Dunes, so they would be driven there. So essentially the place was completely emptied for the best part of the day. So if we weren't working, we just had this huge sort of empty blockhouse to live in.
Oh, wow.
And lots of things, you know, a lot of the, you know, all the local folk were really nice and they're really terrific. One was invited to lunch in places like Rizani, and who would get driven there by some Moroccan guys, drivers and things, and then they say, would you, you know, then we'd have a lunch of camel and various other sweetmeats and things like that. You know, it was always characterful.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's kind of no replacement for filming on location, especially for the film.
Nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. It's an absolute treat. I mean, to be honest, it's one of the best things about being in the business. You know, I mean, when I think I've filmed in, well, it's everywhere. I filmed in Australia. I filmed in India. I've filmed in South America and Brazil. That was Anaconda. I've filmed hardly in the United States, actually, curiously. Quite a lot in Canada. Lots in Canada. A lot in Europe, all over Europe. I've filmed in, oh, heavens, Lithuania, Austria, France, Germany, Italy, I mean, just get all over the place. It's perfect.
So that's kind of a big part of being an actor for you. A big part of that is being able to travel or getting to travel.
Yeah. it's a brilliant part of one's work. I mean, nowadays, of course, everybody seems to travel. I mean, the world is on the hoof.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So, what was it kind of like working with some of your American co-stars in the kind of the American treasure hunters? What was it kind of like working with some of them?
Well, they were brilliant friends and brilliant colleagues. I was very sad that Steve Dunham died. He died of a heart attack.
Right.
In LA at the age of 58. That only happened a few years ago. I was shocked and saddened by that. Corey Johnson is an American actor, but he lives in Britain, so I've seen Corey around and we've worked on other stuff together. We worked on a thing in Bulgaria together, a sort of bad guys caper film with Morgan Freeman and John Cusack. That was pretty good, and yeah, just tremendous. They were real pros, and they always brought plenty to the party, to the dinner. And that was always good.
Yeah, I'm actually talking with one of your co-stars, Tuc Watkins, later today, and he had nothing but praise for you. So
yeah, he was divine. He was another beautiful presence, terribly good at what he did. It was. And Steve Sommers, I know he had a bad time with one of the performers, and I don't know who it was. I was glad I didn't want to find out. But this performer had been very difficult and very got a bit hysterical, so he was very keen that he got people who were calm,
right,
in terms of the acting fraternity, and just civilized and had a sense of humor. So, with Brendan and Rachel and John Hannah and people like that, and everybody was just very loose and very, very, focused on what we had to do, but it never got too serious,
That was my kind of next question. Your on-screen interaction with some of the main characters in the film is rather limited, but what was it kind of like working with Brendan Fraser and Arnold Vosloo and all of them?
Yeah, all good. I mean, Brendan's very funny. He's actually quite a quiet guy, and that's always sort of interesting anyway, because actors have a tendency to be very voluble,
right.
And they talk all the time. They talk people to death, and Brendan's the other sort of side of the coin, really. Although he's always very funny. And Arnold, I didn't have much to do with, except when he what did he take? My brain or something?
They just drained you and took whatever was in the canopic jar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd have his work cut out, but anyway. That's the comedy version, isn't it? The guy goes into does the thing, and he finds the whole thing is hardly worth the trouble. Just throws the jar away.
Right.
Not good enough, not up to scratch, not a high enough standard.
Right.
I mean, imagine if Tuc Watkins, imagine if he had really poor vision.
Right, and the mummy's
he takes his eyes, and suddenly he's, the mummy has to wear glasses in order to sort of see where he's going.
But his character did have bad eyesight.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, because at the one...
Yes, he did, because he dropped his glasses.
Right. Well, I didn't even think about that. The mummy should have been fumbling around the entire
The mummy should have been just bumping into walls and, tripping over, bits of body.
That would have made a completely different movie. Not in a not in a bad way. I mean, it would have been different. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, then my donkey scene would have been in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were some of the indoor sets like that you guys had to work on?
Oh, pretty fab, actually. I mean, the outdoor sets were amazing because we were in out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Those were just amazing. The landscapes and things were just glorious. We had to be a bit careful at Hamunaptra because I think there were quite a lot of vipers and scorpions.
And I'd read about that.
We just had to be people had to be a bit careful. I think one of the crew was stung by a scorpion, but I think that was basically the limit. No, I think working on something like Titanic was more hazardous because of all the mafia interference and because I think there was the scale of the thing was so big and there's so many people involved, and inevitably there were going to be some things going a bit pear-shaped.
Right.
But no, I think our caper went along pretty nicely, and then when we were in Shepperton, they built this vast and beautiful series of sets. You can really tell when an outfit, has plenty of money at its disposal, because then you can really see that, the quality, right there,
Right. The quality of the sets comes across on screen.
Mm.
So I'm assuming that all the outside stuff was filmed on location and then all the indoor sets were built in England.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Another kind of scene-specific question I had was, what was it like filming kind of one of the major set pieces in the film, which was the boat scene?
Not very enjoyable, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really, like anything, you try and promote your character. In that instance, I would say, being principally a theater actor, I wasn't really that interested in promoting myself, but I did feel, okay, you've asked me to play this particular character, and I was very interested and quite keen that the character should have had a really good sort of introduction, because that really sets the character up for the rest of the caper. If you know exactly who they are and they've been, as it were, announced, to the audience, and I thought that with my character, it wasn't particularly rich character, to be honest. It sort of lacked the introduction that I think would have helped to define him, and the place that could have happened would have been on the boat.
Right.
That was really the initial kind of introduction of all the Americans and all the rest of it, and I felt frankly that it was perfectly good, and it was quite exciting. All the people going on fire, during all the battles and all of that. That was tremendous, huge amount of fun. Yeah, it was a really, really nice caper. I had a very nice time on it.
Yeah.
Like everything, actors get a bit hungry and they think, well, wouldn't have minded a bit more detail, but then, you use what you've got.
Well, I can agree with that, because your character is kind of the one character that doesn't really stick with the main group after they leave. You're just kind of running around on your own.
Well, he's running around with the Americans.
But I mean, after when they get back to the city, he's not kind of with the other people in the group. Because at one point, the Americans in Brendan Fraser's character all kind of are together, because they're like, the mummy's coming for us. But your character is kind of running around. I absolutely concur. Those are indeed the areas where you're forced to really just sort of say, yeah, it was up to a point, it was really fun, but there are certain sort of defining elements that you wish could have been there. Right.
And if they weren't, well, tough tits. The story is told very well, and principally one's function is to serve the narrative, particularly in roles like the Egyptologist.
Right. I mean, I think your character is one of the more memorable ones on the film, just because some of the lines you have, and the fact that you are introduced just sitting there smoking a hookah. Just like, well, that's sort of nice,
Right. An image can is worth 1,000 words and all the rest of it, and that's absolutely true. Make the image work as much as you can, and from that point of view, that was really enjoyable. I love all that.
Yeah, but I think that your character did kind of lack a bigger presence, other than I know about Egypt, and that's my kind of thing. So
I thought it could have. I mean, again, detail is everything. But then, when you've got a narrative which is very harum-scarum and all sorts of things happening, and you've got a romance, with the principal characters, and you've got silly John Hannah,
right,
buggering about, doing God knows what, sort of ineffectually, pretty much, and sort of surviving the whole thing by the seat of his pants and by a huge amount of good luck. The narrative, is the narrative is what the narrative is.
Right. Yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah.
What was it like the process for your death scene? Were you involved in having to make a cast of your body, or was it just kind of?
Do you know, I can't remember. I can't remember. I just remember the principally the terror of actually realizing that you've been stalked and then facing the one's inevitable. Well, then you just have to face up to it, and it was more the scene leading up to the actual killing of the Egyptologist than the thing itself, because the screams off stage and you think, oh, something nasty has happened.
Right.
I can't remember what all the special effect work was about. I honestly can't. I can't even remember how I died.
You die off screen. You're just turned into like a green desiccated corpse that he's standing over, and he kind of.
Oh, there we have it.
Yeah.
Do you know? I'm not even sure that I've seen the entire movie.
Oh.
It's one of the movies that I think I have. I must have done. I think I've seen it in bits, in sections.
Right.
But yes, I think it's the only film that I didn't go to a sort of a premiere of or a screening of.
Huh.
And I don't know why. I think it might have been involved in something else, and I could never go to it. But I think it saved Universal, didn't it?
It was kind of at a downtime for Universal. I know the budget was like 180 million, and it made like 410.
It did really well. I remember that.
Yeah.
And then they've made how many more? 3?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It ended up being a trilogy.
Yeah.
So
I can't say I've seen the others, but I'm sure they're really good.
The second one is pretty good, and the third one has some major recasting in it that I think hurts the overall product. Because they recast Rachel Weisz's character in the third movie, which is strange. But
yes.
Do you? Go ahead.
No. I don't know what the thinking behind that would have been.
I mean, I've never understood recasting main characters as other characters in films.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange choice. I mean, I get why, because of contract disputes or the actors asking for more money or not being able to do it, but it's kind of just strange to me, because she's the only one that's recast in the third one. Even John Hannah's in the third one, so.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, is he someone that you enjoy working with, or
Oh yeah, well he's just such a nice personality, and we had a lot of laughs together, and yeah, I do. I'd work with him again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he's kind of. There are some characters that stand out in the film, other than the main ones that are my favorite ones, and I really like your character, and his character is also pretty great as well.
He's daffy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a klutzman.
Yeah. His character's pretty great.
Yeah.
So, are there any other projects other than The Strain that you're working on now you'd like to talk about before we wrap this up?
Well, as I say, the film I've just finished is called Thea, Thea, and it's a very low-budget movie, but it's been crafted with great love and considerable flair by a British Indian director called Nirpal Bogal, and he's I think no one will have heard of him and will know about him yet, but I've got a feeling that he might be one of those to break out and be rather interesting. I mean, he's been nominated for Best Newcomer for his first film, which I haven't seen, I don't know about, and he writes his own scripts, usually with someone else, and auteur filmmakers are very interesting creatures, I think,
Right.
So I think that's going to. I mean, I'm very curious about that, just to see how it comes out in the wash. But other than that, my wife and I are doing some theatre performance at a festival in Scotland in June. My daughter's getting married in August. You'll be thrilled to hear, and possibly Comic-Con in July. I don't know how many people they'll want to drag over for that, whether I would be included amongst them. But my agency says wait on for Comic-Con. You never know. Last year was quite fun.
Yeah. Was that the first year you had been to Comic-Con last year?
It was the first time, yeah. It was, it's impressive, 6,500 people in a big room. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
and all fans, it would seem. So you think, gosh.
Screaming and shouting and super excited.
Screaming and shouting and carrying on.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I've never been to that. I've never been to that one.
It's not my favorite form of passing the time, but I think it's contractually required. So in that circumstance, you make the best of it, enjoy it as much as you can.
All right. So big thanks to Tuc Watkins and Jonathan Hyde for sitting down and talking with us about The Mummy. But let's move on to the last movie of Monster Movie Month, and one that I have a deep personal connection with the books, at least, not the film. The Relic was directed by Peter Hyams and came out in 1997. It's based on the book The Relic by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. It features Penelope Ann Miller and Tom Sizemore as Margot Green and Vincent d'Agosta, and they are fighting a pig-boar predator monster.
Man-lizard. Pig-boar man-lizard.
Kathoga in the Chicago Natural History Museum on the eve of their superstition exhibit opening, and they have to fight the monster and prevent it from fucking eating all the guests at the gala.
So essentially all of the best people of Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because fuck you,
Mike.
poor folk.
Rahm Emanuel, somebody named Daly, I'm sure. Yeah.
The Blaisdells.
Yeah, right.
The
Mike, what do you think?
Blaisdells. Mr. and Mrs. Blaisdell, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Hello, I'm Greg Kawakita. Hello.
I didn't know you had a daughter.
Oh, God. Shit. Mike, what do you think of the movie?
This is probably actually my third time seeing it.
I'm sorry.
First time I saw it, I thought it was better than it was. Second time, I was like, wow, that really wasn't good at all. And this last time, I was pretty much saying the exact same thing. I'm not a Tom Sizemore fan at all. And to have so much Tom Sizemore was kind of painful. And then Penelope Ann Miller, I don't know what was going on, but yesterday was Penelope Ann Miller Day at my house because we watched this and Carlito's Way back to back. And I'm like, all I need is the gun in Betty Lou's handbag to make this a perfect trifecta. But when people say whatever happened to Penelope Ann Miller, you can just show them a movie like The Relic and say, this is what happened to Penelope Ann Miller.
Making these.
Oh, God. It's not good. It's definitely not good.
What about you, John?
This is the first time that I've seen this movie, and I don't know if I'd ever even heard about it before. So, thanks.
There's a reason for that.
That was a very heartfelt thanks.
Thanks, Chris. By the way, go fuck you. I had to watch this movie with a fucking flashlight on my screen.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. That's the one thing, is as I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is not great. There's more bad than good. And then the monster happens, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's disappointing. And then the whole way through the movie, I was going, man, this is a dark film, lighting-wise. Not content-wise, because I don't care when people get their heads cut off by monsters. But lighting, like, the lighting in this is darker than it is in Alien, and Alien is set in space. This movie is set in a
Chicago,
museum.
bro.
Inside a museum of natural history in Chicago. It should be brighter than that. Like, it was so dark I couldn't tell people apart. There's like 5 fat cops, and I couldn't pick out any of them.
Yeah, Peter Hyams is usually a much better DP than this. Peter Hyams, one of the few directors who takes credit for being his own DP. And he's done a great job in a lot of movies. I mean, I love stuff like Running Scared and Outland, and there's some good parts of Capricorn 1. But, yeah, he can really stink up a room if he wants to with stuff like this or Sound of Thunder. I mean, it's just...
The Sound of Thunder! Holy shit!
That is one of the worst movies ever made, in my humble but deadly accurate opinion. But then, yeah, shit like... I mean...
No, that movie is shit. You are right. Do not correct yourself. That movie is literal feces.
But I gotta say, he made, to me, the best Jean-Claude Van Damme film ever with Time Cop. I still love Time Cop and will still watch Time Cop, but I won't watch The Relic anytime soon again.
And he made the best Schwarzenegger movie, End of Days, where Schwarzenegger fights the devil because
He can.
because he can. Okay, so as I mentioned in the intro to us talking about The Relic, I have a deep connection with this movie, and that's because Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child are my favorite writers, hands down. And they wrote the book The Relic, and that was their first book that they wrote together. It's still my favorite book that they've ever written together, and it's their first one. And this movie is like if you opened up the book and just took a shit on it. Just like a big, steaming, wet shit. It takes out the best characters, it dumbs down all the characters, and it moves it to Chicago, which, no offense to Chicago, I like you as a city, but there's just not, it's not as believable in, well, I guess they don't even have any of the aspects of the book, so what am I saying? In Chicago, it doesn't even really matter. It's in New York in the book, and they're able to explain, like, kind of the underbelly of the museum more because it's been around for hundreds of, like, 100+ years, and so there's all these kind of back alleys and subway stuff in the bottom of the museum.
As opposed to there are coal mines?
Yeah, so they try to fudge it in this movie a little bit.
Well, it doesn't even make sense as far as the plot of the film with stuff starts where, like the Amazon, Brazil, someplace in South America, from the looks of it. And then there's a boat that goes from South America to Chicago. And
up the Mississippi River, right?
I guess that's how it goes.
Like, they tried to fudge everything about the book into Chicago because maybe Illinois was giving them tax breaks to film there.
And they had a skyline, and it didn't even look like Chicago. I'm, like, looking for the Hancock Tower. I'm looking for the Sears, a.k.a. Willis Tower, all this stuff. And I'm like, this doesn't even look like Chicago. Why? And then the mayor's got, like, more of a Brooklyn accent than a Chicago accent. I'm like, what city is this? Is this Toronto? Are you just doing a Toronto on me now? Is this the same city that Mimic was filmed in? Like the unnamed U.S. city?
Well, and, you know, while reading up on the film, it turns out that the reason the Natural History Museum in New York didn't want them to film there is because they were worried about people being scared shitless going to the museum. And it would portray, like, the museum administration in a bad light. So
way to give them too much credit, New York Museum.
Yeah, right. Worried about this fucking boar monster hopping around.
A boar monster that can teleport?
And one of Stan Winston's worst monster creations ever. Like,
God.
Stan Winston, rest in peace. You made some of the coolest monsters. You made the Jurassic Park T-Rex and the Raptors, but, bro, whoa now.
Well, what did that monster do? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is that monster able to teleport, or is that just really poor screenwriting? Because there will be 1 second and the monster will be, like, shredding people in the museum's main hall, and then it'll cut to a scene of people in the coal tunnels, and they'll be getting shredded by the monster.
You're supposed to... It's implied passage of time, John.
Well,
that's not how you imply passage of time in a film.
I'm aware that's how you don't imply passage of time.
Let's talk passage of time. This thing's only been at the museum for a week, and it's got this cavern filled with bones and half-eaten bodies and stuff. I'm like, what? So far you've killed, like, a security guard. How did all these bones and bodies show up? Are these, like, the homeless of Chicago or something?
I mean, there is that one homeless that they find down there, and the cops just, like, unloading him.
This, like, makes me, like, shake violently about this movie, how poorly this movie is a representation of the book. In the book, obviously, it's set in New York. In the book, the monster's been there for, like, years. They're, like, the museum administration, and, like, there have been, like, hushed rumors of, like, a museum monster that people would, like, disappear. So it's a set-in thing. It has that little den, but it makes more sense if there's, like, years worth.
Right.
They cut out the best character. The character that Preston and Child actually went on to base the rest of their novels off of. The Agent Pendergast character, who is essentially just Christopher Walken. Or Benedict... I mean, 90s would have been Christopher Walken. If they remade this movie now, it would be Benedict Cumberbatch playing the role. He's like a really weird, aloof, eccentric FBI agent from, like, New Orleans. They cut him out completely. And in the book, D'Augusta is in the sewers with the people trying to get them out, and Margot and Pendergast are in the kind of exhibit hall area hunting down the monster. The monster is also more like a monkey with, like, it's like a weird mutated monkey thing, not this, like, whatever the fuck they thought was a good idea. That's what I've never understood with stuff like this. They have in the book a description of what the monster is, so why not try to make it that? Especially if you're going to do CGI. As opposed to just kind of reimagining it as this like weird-ass thing that you never really even get to see in full light anyways.
Right. The only time you get to see it in full light is when it's on fire, and obviously a big CGI thing. And otherwise, it's like it just looks like Stan Winston made a head with a long tongue that was licking Penelope Ann Miller's face. And I'm just like, I waited the whole movie to see this thing, and this is all I'm seeing? I mean, it's like, I understand they had problems with the creature and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, Jaws, they handled that so perfectly with, you know, the teasing of what the creature is and the size and all this kind of stuff, and they just don't do any of that stuff in the Relic.
Mm-hmm. You forgot to mention, Mike, that not only does the creature lick Penelope Ann Miller's face, it licks her boot.
Right. It slaps its tongue across her tits.
God.
Because my assumption is that the guy that got turned into the monster wanted to bone her before.
Oh, okay.
And then it's like little, something of the dude is still in there, but that's giving the movie way too much credit.
So yeah, that's the big twist. Oh, a twist in the movie is that the guy from the beginning, that John Whitney,
drank, and it's not a twist though, because you watch him drink a drink made out of the plant that has the weird fungus, and then you immediately watch a beetle eat some of the fungus and turn into a giant beetle thing.
And again, I'm getting the movie and the book confused, because in the book it's a twist. In the movie it's like beating you over the head with it.
Right.
Yeah, it's this fucking guy.
And then they spend another 15 minutes watching the characters figure out something that we as an audience have figured out an hour ago.
Right.
Yeah.
With their really super modern computer technology.
Right.
This movie is made after Jurassic Park, and the computers seem less believable in this movie.
This
than
is
in Jurassic
Unix.
Park.
I know this.
I was waiting for you to say it. I was just hoping. I was hoping someone would drop the Unix line. It's so unbelievable in this movie. It's almost like she's just watching a video playing, and she's just pressing on the keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to type on the keyboard.
I like how she's like, at one point, oh, that was quick. And it's all these things and made up whatever. And I was just like, yeah, that was really quick. Are we just saying that so that we know your rendering times are short or something?
Hang a lantern on it, bro.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this before, and again, this is me having this, love of the book, but Tom Sizemore, like you said, Mike, he's not good.
No.
He is like discount Michael Madsen. He really is that guy that you confuse with Michael Madsen. Isn't that the guy from Reservoir Dogs? No, that's the guy from The Relic. Oh, yeah.
Which
Moving on.
makes Natural Born Killers just such a confusing movie sometimes.
He's just not great. The only thing I've seen Tom Sizemore in that was really good was when he was in that sex tape. So that actually happened too. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
He's not a very likable leading man.
No.
There's nothing about him that makes me be like, oh, okay, I'm excited to watch him in this movie.
I don't care that his wife got his dog in a divorce settlement, whatever that is.
Yeah.
He's trying to humanize him.
Yeah, and then he finds the dog later on. I'm like, oh, well, maybe this will become like a new relationship. Not really, no. I was like, oh, okay, now it'll be like, I found a new dog. But no.
And how frustrating is every single cop in this movie?
Well, they're typical movie cop, dude. They're dumb.
Yeah, but none of them are smart. Even the SWAT guys that are supposed to be badasses, they drop a SWAT guy into the room. He starts getting eaten. They drop another guy into the room. He starts getting eaten. They drop a third guy into the room. The third guy sees the monster eating them, which I don't know why they didn't see it the first time, because the monster literally leaps up and grabs the first one off the rope. And all the SWAT guys are like, yeah, let's just keep dropping them one by one into the main room full of the monster. And then every cop except Tom Sizemore is an ineffectual dumb shit.
Yeah. Duh, bro.
I fucking hate it.
All the characters in the movie are totally just dumb.
Right, and that always pisses me off when every character is dumb.
Well, these are the same cops that were after Richard Kimball and didn't believe him when he said that the one-armed man killed his wife. Chicago cops, man. You can't do it.
This movie's in the same universe as The Fugitive. I believe that. Outside the museum. Breaking news. John Kimball and I forget the character's name, they're fighting on top of some building. Back to the Relic Mummy Monster Museum shit. Oh, man. I'd pay money to see that.
Wasn't Harrison
the two of them.
Wasn't Harrison Ford looked at for Sizemore's character?
Was he?
I think you might be right.
Yep, Harrison Ford was director Peter Hyams' first choice for the lead role.
Oh, that would have been a so different movie.
Yeah, it would have been worse. It would have just drugged down Harrison Ford's 90s career. Oh, you were in The Relic. Yeah, great. Well, fuck you. I don't want to talk about that shit. You know, all the characters, like we said, are really dumb, and they make these really odd decisions. Like at one point, there's a character, Dr. Frock, who's in a wheelchair, and instead of helping him up the stairs, he's just like, you know what, fuck it. Just leave me in this, like, cage. This giant fucking monster won't be able to get into this flimsy chain link cage. And they come back, and he's dead, and they're surprised.
Oh, yeah.
But he's only dead because the monster can teleport between buildings.
Well, again, passage of time is so poorly established in this movie. It's not even funny how poorly it's established.
No.
The monster really does, like, it's in the sewers, and then it shows up, and it's, like, jumping through the skylight somehow. Never explained how the monster gets on the roof of the building.
Without getting just unloaded on by all the SWAT guys outside?
Which begs the question, if the monster can leave...
Why doesn't he?
Why has it?
Yeah.
Why does he sit and fight?
I guess it's those leaves with the fungus on it, but
he can eat hypothalamuses.
Which is what he's been doing because he didn't raid the leaf base.
Yeah.
They still had the leaves.
It's just a really plot hole filled... It almost feels like it was just a cash grab. The book's popular, so let's make a movie of it.
See, but I'd never heard of the book either.
The book came out in 95. The movie came out 2 years later. The book is in the vein of Michael Crichton books. It has that same feel to it. It's kind of like a techno thriller where there's a lot of science-y stuff, but at the same time, it's also they're actually telling like an interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just good God. I can't say enough about how much I don't like this movie. And I mean, I'm glad we watched it again because it further reinforces in my mind how poorly done a adaptation can be. That this is a really poor adaptation in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
From book to screen. And I'm glad we're watching it now as opposed to in August, John. Because, big surprise, our August theme is going to be from page to screen, so hopefully we'll get to watch some good movies.
It took 4 writers to adapt this, by the way.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, because probably the first 3 didn't fuck it up enough.
I mean, what I also have never understood with that, if we want to talk about the screenplay, I don't understand why you wouldn't pursue the writers of the book to help with the screenplay.
Sometimes that works out really well, and sometimes that can be even worse than what we ended up with.
Like Crichton did it for Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Him and David Coe. And they knocked it out. It's fantastic. Not as good as the book, but it was a Spielberg's version of Jurassic Park, complete with family problems and men hating children.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child had been brought in to do a screen treatment of this movie, we would have had a better movie.
Yeah, at least do the first draft. You should at least have right of first draft. I'm
just always surprised that their books have never been repicked up and remade. Because you were telling me, Mike, that your wife reads the books, right?
Yeah. And as we were watching them yesterday, I was like, okay, now is this character in the book? Is this one? And she was like, yeah, well, the main guy isn't even here. And she was telling me when he shows up and what he's like. And, yeah, he sounds like a great character. Too bad he isn't in the film.
Yeah. Him and one of the other characters that's a main... I just forgot there's another main character in the book that isn't even in the movie. He's like a journalist that ends up going through the sewers with the characters. It's like... It'd be like Jurassic Park without Ian Malcolm or Grant. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I kept being reminded of Mimic while I was watching this movie the whole way through.
And see, I've never seen Mimic.
Well, there's 2 versions of that one, and I have yet to see the Del Toro edit of that. Like, apparently the studio took it away from him and cut it down a little differently. But even that version, even the studio cut, is better than the Relic. But what I was reminded of, there's a lot of tunnels, there's two kids at the beginning that, stumble upon this creature, this kind of stuff. And, yeah, just there's, genetic kind of things happening. It just works a little bit better than this thing.
It has giant cockroaches, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And, you mentioned those two kids from the beginning, and I was watching the movie, and I realized at the very beginning that I wasn't going to like it. I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. Because the two kids sort of walk past Penelope Ann Miller, and they're maybe 10,
Right.
9, and she's, like, changing shirts.
Right.
Taking a jacket off and tying it around her waist or something like that. Like, she's still totally fully dressed and everything, and the two kids just, like, stop and stare at her like they want to fuck her.
Pervin.
Right? And that was any movie where a child stares at a woman like the child wants to bone that woman, just so that the audience knows that that is the lead female that's supposed to be hot, the movie's going to blow.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh man! And in the book, those kids die. They don't die in the movie, right? If I remember correctly.
I mean, you don't see. They go into the tunnels, and then later one of the cops is like, "Those two warriors described this to us," so you assume they live.
Yeah.
But
in the book, they get one of them gets fucking just hypothalamus eaten.
Yeah.
Which, again, the movie doesn't take chances or isn't. It's just not. It's not true to the source material.
That was the one thing I liked the most about Mimic was that the kids die. I was like, okay, good. Gloves are off. Let's go. But it never lived up to that promise after that.
I mean, yeah, the movie's not fucking around when it has no problem killing off kids.
Exactly.
It further instills that this is a dangerous monster. Not the monster saw the kids and was like, I don't want those.
Right.
I've decided I don't want to kill things today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I'm full. I'm good. You kids, you get out of here. I'm still working off the cop that I ate last week.
And, but before we wrap this up, I do want to talk about the cast one more time. There really isn't anyone in this movie that stands out.
Yeah, the one person that I like a lot who was just kind of slumming it in here is Linda Hunt. I don't know what she was doing in this movie.
Being a supporting character?
They needed a short woman who looked old in glasses.
And who could be like, fuck you, dickhead secondary character.
None.
And I
she yelled at that cop guy.
Right. And I felt bad for Chi Mui Lo as Greg Lee, who's he's like the villain of the movie more than the creature sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, they spend the first half of the movie talking about how shitty he is.
Right.
Yeah. And then he just gets killed more or less off screen while looking at his reflection in a pane of glass.
Yeah.
This movie just feels like a missed opportunity to tell an interesting story. Because, it's an interesting story. There's a monster let loose in a natural history museum. I think that's kind of a cool idea, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, those Ben Stein. No, not Ben Stein. Ben, what?
R.L. Stein?
No, what's that guy's name? The guy who I can't stand. Ben Zoolander.
Ben Stiller?
Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller movies, yeah.
But instead of them being happy and nice to kill him.
Exactly.
We'll just make a remake of The Relic and pitch it as Night at the Museum gone horribly wrong.
Night at the Museum, Cathoga.
Oh, that's the other thing. The monster is not called Cathoga in the book. Oh, God. Everything about this movie just makes me want to roll my eyes.
What does the totem have to do with the creature, too?
Okay, so in the book, they get the totem, and it's on display in the exhibit. And it shows in the book what the person looks like when they're turned into the monster.
Okay.
But in the movie, that's not really made clear.
Right.
And it doesn't look like the monster.
No.
Right. And in the book, the monster is they make someone a monster so that they can protect their land in the Amazon jungle. And that, again, doesn't translate into the movie. And in the book, they're called the Cathoga, and the monster is called, oh, God, Umbun. But, of course, they're not going to call it that in the movie because, A, that sounds fucking stupid to say, me just saying it. And, B, Cathoga sounds cool, which it actually doesn't. It sounds stupid.
Look out! It's the Umbun!
I mean, they don't even call it that in the movie, in the book. They just call it the museum monster.
Right.
So, yeah, this to me just feels like a missed opportunity, and I hope someone will make a Douglas Preston Lincoln Child movie off one of their books, but it's not Peter Hyams. Please.
And
come on.
Light the scenes better, please.
And feature Pendergast, for love of God. So before we wrap this up, yeah, that doesn't look like a boar with... Jesus Christ, whatever. It has like a mohawk at one point.
Kill children, also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kill children.
Yeah, if you want to see a good version of this, I don't know. But the monster reminded me at times of The Host, but The Host is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And The Host is super depressing.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, I like The Host. I watched it last week. Yeah, it's good. I liked it. That was John's suggestion.
Yep.
For me for this month. It was good. I was not expecting that fucking dark ending.
No.
Man. She died saving that kid. Fuck. That is some dark shit. Before we wrap this up, what do you guys think Rotten Tomato Meter says for this movie?
Well, you know what? Because I'm always wrong, I'm going to say 72.
Mike, did you say 35?
Yeah.
31%.
Oh, wow.
Certified rotten.
I'm the worst at this game.
However, in keeping with Siskel and Ebert are on crack cocaine, Siskel and Ebert liked this movie. After liking Carnosaur earlier this week.
No, that was just one of them.
That's right. But still, one half of Siskel and Ebert thinks that Carnosaur is a good movie. Put it on your box. You did. They literally put it on the fucking poster. Oh, man. Yeah, 31%. No critic consensus. Not a 1. You know, it's just, I'm trying to see if there's a monster runs through museum. Audience gets bored. I would say that that's more or less accurate. You know.
What's the fan rating?
The fan rating is 34%. So not much better. You know, 3%. Congratulations. And the trailer for the movie is pretty cool, too. The trailer bills it as like some exciting thrill ride.
Don't all trailers, though? I mean, you could take a romantic comedy and make it look like a cool action movie in the trailer.
Some trailers hurt the movie more than help the movie. So, Mike, watch it, skip it, and best performance.
Skip it.
Man. Okay.
Best performance, I can't remember the actor's name. The guy who killed himself in Shawshank Redemption, hung himself in his apartment. The doctor, the crippled doctor.
Oh, Dr. Frock.
Yeah,
James Whitmore.
Yeah, best performance. He's only in there for a few minutes, so you don't have to deal with him too much.
And he's like the only one that's not idiotic.
Yeah.
Until the end, and then he's idiotic.
He also smiles at the monster randomly. He's just like...
Because it proves his scientific theory, and he's like, yes!
I proved it. Now I'm going to die. Oh, man.
I've shown them!
Right? What about you, John?
Skip it. Best performance. I don't know. I'm going to go with Tico Wells. He's the black cop.
The one that gets, like, eaten?
In the water?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who, like, asks his buddy partner. They're like, splitting up, and he's like, hey, you got enough guns and ammo? And his buddy partner's like, yeah, I got it. And so they split up, and then when his buddy partner's fighting the monster, he, like, fires, like, 6 blanks. Like, every shot he fires misfires, and he ends up having to, like, try and punch the monster.
It's so good.
Because the cops are retarded.
The cops are just super inept. Oh, man. For me, skip it. If you're looking for a good book series to get into by a series of authors, read the book. I know it's a little bit more of a time investment than an hour-and-a-half movie, but you'll thank me because it's actually worth reading. And reading is fun.
And fundamental.
Yes. Oh, fuck you, John. Fuck you, John. You're the reason why people don't read anymore.
I used to read, and then I joined the army.
And they beat any sort of...
It was easier to watch movies on my free time.
Well, I think if you had watched The Relic, you would have started reading again. Best performance? Man. Clayton Rohner, who plays Sergeant Hollingsworth, who's the cop that goes through the tunnels and leads the people out. Just because he isn't as stupid, but he's still pretty stupid.
I mean, he's like, they actively make him out to be the inferior of the two, like, main cops.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's a sergeant and DeGusta's lieutenant, so, yeah. It's just not a good movie. And this is a real sour way to go out on the month. It's just with this kind of pig monster running around eating people. So, Mike, is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Not necessarily. Any prompts? Anything you want me to talk about?
Well, no. Is there anything you want to plug, I guess?
Sure, I can plug the projection booth, which is available every week over at projection-booth.com. And we recently have had Chris Stachiw over on the website talking about Glengarry Glen Ross, of all things. So a little bit different than The Relic.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It was good. Featured good people. And it was about the characters, not about the stupid pig monster eating people. Oh, man. What about you, John?
Well, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at John Lein, Lein1. And Chronicles from the Crypt is fun. Listen to that podcast. And I write Rookie's Guide to SmackDown, which I like.
And I like editing. As long as you spell the wrestlers' names right.
Schemus.
Schemus. God damn it, John.
That's it.
You can follow me on Twitter at HeelStash. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Kultureshock. Again, if you didn't see the news, early next year, we're going to be working on a monthly basis with the Alamo Drafthouse in Omaha to do some specialty programming with them. And I actually interviewed the creative manager at the Alamo Drafthouse about what they're going to be offering when they do open later this year. And next month is Western Month. Woo! And we're starting out on Wednesday of this week with True Grit and True Grit. So
we're going to discuss the difference between old school Western and modern Western.
Yeah.
I'm super psyched for this next month.
If you can't tell, John is chomping at the bit for Western movies. If there had been a cowboy in The Relic, he would have loved it.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, Clint Eastwood shooting that boar monster over and over again? Awesome.
That would have been good. Oh, shit. But yeah, so that's next Wednesday, so make sure to check those out.